Is Miss Prudy Primrose at home?
No, she's gone to Farmington with some neighbors.
Oh.
They were making a flying trip up to deliver some butter, so I expect she'll be home shortly. Won't you sit down, sir?
Well, thank you. I'm Professor Felix Fiddledy, and I had a conversation with Miss Primrose yesterday, and kind of invited you to have a little ride with me in my automobile this afternoon.
Yeah, she mentioned that.
Well, I was quite impressed with her. She's quite charming. Now you a relative of hers?
Yes, I'm her cousin, Elida Dudley, and my nephew and I are making a visit.
Well, that's nice. I'm surprised that she's still single. She seems like such a jewel. Now, did I hear that she's come into some money?
Yes, she's taken the check to the bank today.
Well, that's really nice she had that opportunity. Do you happen to know whether that check was substantial?
Well, that depends on what someone would consider substantial.
I guess it would, yeah.
I think I need to head out to the kitchen. It must be nearly time to take some jars out of the canner.
Well,
My nephew's outside mending the barnyard fence. I'll have him come in and talk with you.
all right, thank you.
Quincy, will you come in here, please? Here
Hi,
he
Aunt
comes.
Elida. What can I do for you?
This is Professor Felix Fiddledy, and he's come to take Prudy riding. I need to head out to the kitchen, so I need you to stay in here and talk with him. Professor, this is my nephew, Quincy Kimball.
Well, how do you do, Mr. Kimball? Nice to make your acquaintance.
Howdy, nice to meet you, Professor Fiddledy. How you doing?
Well, I guess I'm doing okay.
Grant mentioned you're fixing the barnyard.
Yes, it's nice that you were fixing the barnyard fence for Miss Primrose. You know, I imagine it is kind of difficult for her to run this little farm all by herself.
Oh yeah, but it's the least I can do. I mean, the meals around here can't be beat, and I live alone, and my cooking ain't nothing to brag about.
Well, it sounds like she might be a good cook. I'm surprised she's still single.
Well, I know one fella who would be love to marry her if she'd give him any hint that she was interested.
Well, you know, some people are wise to just get away from the matrimony thing. She probably is able to take care of her own affairs, all right. Now, did I hear that she'd come into some money?
Yeah. Well, her Aunt Aggie passed, and everyone thought that her stepson would get it all, but he only got half, and the other half was divided up with Prudy's relatives.
Well, did you and your Aunt Lida get a little bit of that?
No, we're on the other side of Prudy's family.
Well, yeah, do you happen to know how much that check was?
Yeah, I do. She showed us. She showed everyone. It was easy to remember. It was 3333.
3. Well, that's probably nice. Is that somebody coming in over there?
I think so. I think I'm gonna just, excuse me for 1 minute.
Yes.
I'm just gonna go out there and see who that is. Oh, it's you. Like, wow, 333.
3,000.
Oh, that's amazing. $3,333. Hurrah, that is great.
Professor Fiddledy, I'd like you to meet Jesse Cutwood.
Well, how do you do?
Jesse, this is Professor Fiddledy.
Yeah.
Oh, pleased to meet you. You know, I've seen you driving around town, and I must say that's quite a fancy car, or should I say limousine you got out there.
Well, yes, well, I've seen you running around the neighborhood too. You must be part of the neighborhood, is that correct?
Yeah, well, presently I'm staying with my niece Letty Luce and her husband Alonzo.
Well, I know Mrs. Luce. She's in the play with me.
Oh, she mentioned that.
Yes, you know, I feel so fortunate to be able to be in that production. It just gave me a chance to be interested and and meet all these people in this town. Now, you know, I've traveled quite extensively, but I just really had drawn to this town.
Well, Vienna's a pretty nice little town. I was raised here as a boy. At age 13, Pa took it into his head to move up north country, but I got homesick for Vienna, and I ain't found a place that suits me better.
You know, I'm kind of surprised that you got back here from Massachusetts so quick.
Well, it weren't quick enough to suit me.
Oh, that's
Well,
all.
sounds like me. Is that for business or pleasure?
Well, I can't say it was either. My cousin Clint and his wife Carrie Jane came down by train to pay a visit and went to an auction, hired me to drive them back. But I had a nice visit, but I had got no desire to leave the state of Maine again.
Well, sounds like you don't have much interest in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
No.
Well, gentlemen, been nice talking to you, but I came to see Miss Primrose, and I'm going to leave right now, but I'll be back shortly to see if I can see her. We'll see you now.
See you later.
So long, Professor.
Yep.
He was here to see Prudy.
Yeah, he saw her in the village this morning, and he said he was gonna come up this afternoon and take her for a little ride.
Well, I hope she ain't fool enough to fall for him. There's something about him I don't trust. He's got like shifty eyeballs.
Yeah, but you know, I don't think Prudy would have, he has anything that Prudy would want.
Yeah.
You know, I think if she was looking for a man, well, she should latch on to you.
Well,
Jesse?
yeah, to tell the truth, I've been fond of Prudy for quite a while, but I ain't never told her directly. I've hinted around, but she ain't shown no interest.
Well, I wouldn't give up hope just yet. I mean, I think that you two would be well mated.
Oh, but hey, how are you doing in the court business? I assume by now you met that young lady that your Aunt Elida's been so eager to introduce to you.
Well, no, as it turns out, no, not yet. I haven't met her. Prudy and Aunt Elida wanted me to go and put on a clean shirt and then go out and spend the afternoon with them on the Piazza to help entertain them. But I don't want to waste my whole afternoon talking to a bunch of women folk.
So you didn't entertain him at all?
No, I didn't. You know, well, here's what happened. I was out back in the barn working, and then I decided, well, maybe I will come in and put on a clean shirt. But on my way, I come in the back door, and they were in the sitting room, so I peeked through the curtain just to see if I could see if there's no be anything I'd be interested in. And I seen Aunt Elida, and her mouth was just a running. And then she looks over to this lady and says, well, what's your opinion, Nell? This lady in a green dress.
Ah, and that gave you a chance to see what Nell looked like.
Good, was I disappointed. Yeah, was she homely? I mean, she looked to be like a nice, jolly type of a person and fun, but, you know, Aunt Elida had told me that her 30th birthday had just passed. But looking at her, I'd say it just passed about 20 years ago.
Oh, look! Here comes Prudy.
Oh, won't you be happy that you're back from Massachusetts so quick?
Hey, Prudy.
Hello, Jesse. I didn't expect to see you back this quick.
Well, it weren't quick enough to suit me.
Oh, I was hoping you'd have a real nice time.
Well, I had a nice visit, but something happened that kind of took the fun out of it, I have to say. Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I was heading outside and this this lady carrying some luggage asked if she could hire me to take her to a hotel. Well, to be neighborly, I said yes, but I had to be back soon because Carrie Jane put one of those yummy Johnny cakes in the oven, and I wanted to get back while it was still warm so we could eat it together. But I wished I'd have known enough to say no.
Wow.
This was a strange looking woman. She had red on her cheeks and on her lips, and she was wearing this skimpy little red dress on red and yellow. But it looked so cute on a 16-year-old girl, but she was no spring chicken, let me tell you. And on her, it looked like heck.
Well, she probably wasn't anyone very respectable.
Yeah, that's what I found out. She plunked her luggage in the back seat, and she plunked herself in the middle of the front seat so close that I could hardly move my arms. And that stinking perfume of hers was so strong it made my eyeballs water. Yeah. And then, well, I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, would you mind moving over just a little?" Yeah. And she puts a hand on my leg like this. And she said, "Which way, sweet lips?" And I said, "Toward the door, so I have room to drive." She moved just about an inch.
Well, maybe she had one of them there phobias about being close to car doors.
I have my doubts if that fool had a phobia. Having a chance to be riding with such a nice-looking fellow as Jesse is, that old hen probably had her mind on something different than that old car door.
You know, I think you're right, because she wanted to go to supper, and she wanted me to go with her. Well, I told her I was saving my appetite for that Johnny cake that I love doing. Now, would you believe that old biddy's meal came to $5.25?
My land.
Yeah. She only had 3 cents. And the restaurant said if I didn't pay the difference, they were going to call the cops. Yeah. Well, she said she'd pay me when we got back to the hotel. Yeah.
Well, let me guess. You got back to the hotel and she didn't pay.
Nope.
Yeah.
We got back to the hotel. I said I needed that money.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And she said, "Well, come up to my room. I'll take care of you. You never thought of it before, huh?"
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that sounded kind of forward to me, you know?
Maybe.
And I was getting pretty disgusted, so I said, "Look, I need the money so as I can get back to buying it. Otherwise, I might be a little bit short." She said, "Well, don't worry, baby. Come to my room. I'll take care of you." Yeah.
So don't tell me you brought her luggage and tore upstairs, didn't you?
Well, okay, yeah, I did, but I didn't go in. I opened the door, I pushed the luggage into the room, I ran back to my car. By the time she figured I was not there and came out, I was already in the car, and she goes like, come back. I said, "No, I have to get home. The Johnny cake's probably already getting cold." Yeah. And she goes like, "Is that all you can think of, is that stupid Johnny cake?" Well, my car answered that one. Vroom, a big puff of smoke.
Oh, that's a good story.
It's pretty disgusting to think of that old Harrigan cheating you out of all that money. That old hag's probably got a good many free suppers. I wish I could have been there. I would have told the old fool that you're already spoken for.
Oh. Hey, look, there's Letty coming. Yeah. Oh,
That must be her play costume, is it?
Yeah.
Wow, don't you look lovely?
Now, I just stepped in to say howdy, but I can't stop. I'm on my way to see Rilla. Orinda said that Rilla wanted to see my play costume.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm
Yes.
so sorry, poor Rilla had that accident and can't go to the play, especially since her sister Orinda has one of the leading roles. But anyway, I know she'll be glad to see your play costume. It looks real nice on you.
Well, I'm having great fun working the play this year.
You know, it's as good as a circus to hear you talk with that southern drawl. Reminds me of my mother.
Well, ain't you sweet? Oh, my. Ain't you
Another
sweet?
thing good as a circus.
Another thing goes.
Is there something else good as a circus?
Something else good as a circus is watching Posey flirt with the professor at play practice.
Well, I bet she's really good at flirting. After all, she's had 4 husbands. Great.
Yeah, that's so. Now, I'd best be on my way. I want to pay Rilla a nice visit before I head on to play practice.
Okay. Well, that fence ain't gonna get mended by itself, so I'm headed about back to work. I was set long enough.
Yeah, I'll give you a hand. Oh, and hey, there's Sophie coming, so get ready.
Oh, come right up onto the piazza.
Hey, hi,
Sit
Soph.
down.
How you doing, girl?
I'm so glad you stopped in.
Well.
Nice to see you arrived in town for a visit.
Good to see you. We can't really stay very long because we have to get up to the Union Hall, you know, but we wanted to stop just for a minute. It looks so nice. So,
Well, I wanted to get up here I wanted to be sure I got in town in time to see that play that Sister Sophie is directing.
well, you know, it's so hard to believe that just within, a week and a couple more days, we're going to be performing it. Oh, and you know, Orinda and Olive have long parts, and they're having a terrible time, having the chance to study their parts. And then Olive is so upset with Hiram because some of his out-of-state relatives decided to make a surprise visit. Surprise, you bet. Oh, what an awful time. Oh,
Well, Sister Elida, I'd love to see you. Elida!
We'd love to see Elida.
Well, hello, Sophie and Roxy. It's so good to see you.
Elida, you haven't changed a mite since the last time I saw you. You look just as voluptuous as ever.
How are you feeling, Roxy? Sophie was mentioning you've been sick with the influenza.
Yes, I did. I had it really bad, but I tried not to stay off of work too long because they needed me at the hospital real bad. There's so many cases,
yeah, but you know what? Then here she was sick and she goes into the hospital and she had a relapse. And then the doctor wouldn't let her go back and come to work until she was just pretty much all better. Just a shame. Oh wait, but you know what? Some news though? She's thinking about retiring.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
What a swell idea.
I hadn't thought about it, but I took my friend Florence Ann out for lunch for her 65th birthday, and we were having a good time, and she said that she'd been saving right along, and she thought she had put aside enough money that she could retire comfortably.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and that's what I thought I would do that too. And so there was a man sitting next to us, and he overheard our conversation, and he interjected that he thought nurses were such noble people, always taking care of patients. And he said he had saved many people in his ministry. He's a preacher man. And he said that he really admired us and he wished us the best. And the next day, he took us out to lunch again. And that day, he popped the question to Florence Ann.
My land, that was quick.
Well, a little too quick, I'd say.
Yeah. It was pretty quick. And Florence Ann was so excited, and she wanted me to make her a wedding gown, and I did this beautiful wedding gown.
Oh, yeah?
Lots of lace, and seed pearls, and all that stuff. But you know what, the next day or two, she got a letter from him saying that he had gone home to tell his folks about the wedding plans, and he'd reconsidered because he didn't feel like he could give up his ministry. So the wedding plans were off.
And you know, if Roxy still has that wedding dress, and it is beautiful.
Well, what are you going to do with it?
Well, I'm going to keep it for myself. That's what I'm going to do, because Florence Ann was so upset that, you know, she got so upset about that thing, that she remembered in the night that he had asked her to put his name on her checking account. And so she got up the next morning and she raced down to the bank, and she was too late. He'd already taken out all the money. So she didn't want to have anything to do with that wedding dress. So, you know, it fits me just perfect, so I thought I'd cut it down and wear it myself. It's just right for me.
Well, you know, Roxy, I am really kind of interested in having you meet Professor Fiddledee. You know, he's in the play, because, you know, he's, that Posy Perkley is just positively throwing herself at him. And, you know, he's such a distinguished gentleman. I think he deserves someone a lot more.
Is he handsome?
Yes, yes. Is he hot? Okay, well,
one more time. You know what? It's time we was leaving to go down to the Union Hall.
Oh, yes, we do have to get going.
Sorry,
It's been so nice.
It's been awful nice meeting
So
you.
nice meeting you. Yes, yes.
Drop in again anytime.
Okay, we will.
I don't think Sophie's doing Roxy any favors trying to get her interested in that old professor. He was here to see you today, and I wasn't too impressed with him.
Oh, you are?
No, I thought he was an awful nosy critter. He asked if your check was substantial. I felt like telling him it was none of his business.
Well, that does sound kind of nosy.
Well, I told him I had to go back out to the kitchen, so I had Quincy come in and talk with him. Well, then Jesse came over. Well, and then when that darn fool left, I heard him say that he'd be back shortly, and here he comes now. I'm going back out to the kitchen.
Come in, Professor Fiddledee.
How do you do, Miss Primrose? Glad to see you again.
First impressions.
First impressions, usually, I think, are correct. And I'm very impressed in you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but we're sitting here on the piazza and it's nice, but I think it's about time we went for that little ride. Now, I want to tell you that I like to ride up in the back country. I like it where it's remote and away from civilization. Now, I know we'll have a delightful ride, my dear.
Oh, here comes Posy. Oh, come on, Posy.
Well, hello, Posy.
Hello, Prudy. Hello, Felix.
Well,
Fancy finding you here. Why don't you pace yourself right over? Maybe
well, I
for
think
me.
I'm pretty well over. Well, now I'm over more.
Oh, Prudy, this is such a beautiful piazza. Don't you just love sitting out here?
Yes, I'm spending my time out here.
I understand Jesse built it for you.
Yes, he did. He's very capable.
I see he spends an awful lot of time over here. I think he's sweet on you. I can,
This love seat is
this love seat is so relaxing.
Was.
I could spend the whole day out here, but we got that play practice, so we should be heading out. But sitting here beside this handsome man makes it even more desirable. Though I suppose if we left a little early, we could go up to Blueberry Mountain,
Well,
take a little ride like we did yesterday.
I asked Miss Primrose to take a ride with me.
I'm sure she's done all the riding she wants to for one day. After riding up and back to Farmington on those old rough roads and Henrietta and Jeremiah's old jalopy, Though I suppose you did take that check to the bank, didn't you, Prudy?
Yeah, I thought I'd better get it there as soon as possible, so as to have it start earning interest.
You're not gonna get a lot of interest out of that little check, Prudy. Wasn't it only for $33.33?
What? Is that all? Oh my God.
Felix, you ready to head out?
Well, but yeah, I certainly am. Miss Primrose, I think we'll have to put this little ride off for another day. Now, goodbye.
Bye, Prudy.
Did you say $30? Oh,
33.
oh my God. Thank you, Miss Hayes.
There, I'm glad that darn fool's left. I was right on his heels, worried that you'd go riding with him.
Well, I was getting cold feet about boy when he mentioned like being off away from civilization. And when he called me my dear, all I could think of was Little Red Riding Hood and that old wolf wearing Grandma's nightcap. The eyes you have, Grandma. Oh, I better see you with.
Well, if you're interested in getting a man, I think you ought to latch a hold of Jesse. I'm pretty good at matching folks up, and any matchmaking I've done's turned out just fine and dandy.
Hi, I guess that old professor there has up and gone and left.
And I'm glad you didn't go riding with him, Prudy.
Well, I'm glad too. I was getting cold feet about going when he mentioned like to go off away from civilization as far as possible. I really felt uneasy. But just then Posey came along and wanted him to take her riding, so that worked out fine. She's really comical the way she flirts with him. She was speaking how cozy the love seat is and said, having such a handsome man sitting here beside me makes it even more desirable.
That must have been pretty laughable.
Well, I think I'm gonna go back out to the barn again.
And I think I'm gonna head back out to the kitchen.
Okay. Bye. Oh, look, there's Hugh and Hattie coming in. Looks like he's having some kind of car trouble out there where he's wobbling around.
Well, maybe it's him that's having the trouble. He seems pretty unsteady on his feet.
Well, I'll go out and give him a hand. Hey, hi. Oh, wow.
Hello, Jesse, how are you?
Well, better than you, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of lame. Don't break out the house. Oh my God.
Okay, I got you, man. Oh, man. You know, I was gonna give you a hand. I should have given you a crane. Oh, come on, get it.
I resemble that remark.
Oh, all right. Well, come on. Just sit right here. Oh, man. Over here. Put that little buddy over right on that pillow there. Oh, okay.
Good Lord, thank you, Jesse.
I knew you could
Oh,
do it.
thank you. Thank you. Good Lord.
We just had an awful scare. Yes, some idiot driving a car with out-of-state plates almost hit us head on.
Oh, my land.
But Huey done fine. He steered the car off into the ditch just in time. And so nothing done really hurt, just scraped the back door a little bit.
Well, I think you're right. You know, that whole crazy fool didn't have the decency to stop and see if we were all right.
Well, you know, somebody like that deserves a swift kick in the hind end. That's what I
If I'd
say.
been 40 years younger, lad, I'd have kicked him right through the goalposts of life. Yeah, he certainly deserved it after scaring the bejesus out of Mother and I.
You should say.
Yeah?
There,
Go ahead.
say your part.
I would, if I could remember the damn thing.
We're gonna take the daylight out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, they did scare the daylights out of us.
I know, both of us was all of a shake.
We were.
Sure. Weren't you all of a shake?
I am now. You scared the loving of Jesus out of me, Mother.
Well, relax, we'll have to calm down.
Oh, yes, yeah, okay, well, I'm trying. My God, I'm telling you, he got me all gussied up, and I told Mother that I had to take a few minutes, take a break. God,
That's what I said.
I'd get my nerves under control before I'd drive that old flipper down on the road again. I might drive off from it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah?
why I said, why don't we drive
Yeah,
into
you always
Prudy's?
interrupt me.
Prudy,
Yeah,
I know about you.
Okay.
Anyway, I said, let's drive in to Prudy's dooryard, and we can sit on the piazza and have a nice rest.
Well, I'm awful glad to
I like
see
that,
you,
Mother.
but I'm sorry you had such a scare.
It's awful.
well, we can't stay long, Prudy. Thank you for your hospitality, but gotta get back and get home and do the milking and the chores. Besides,
We're not ready to go yet.
you gotta get Mother home so she can cook that wonderful supper for the professor. He likes a good hot
Well,
supper.
you know what? I'm getting sick and tired of fixing meals for him. Feeding him is getting to be a bigger nuisance than feeding a stray dog.
Now, by gum, you know I don't like you talking like that at all.
Well,
Isn't good for him.
But just listen, he hasn't paid us a cent, hasn't paid us anything. And what does he do for us?
Well, let me think on that for a minute. I think that when he gets a hold of his money that he said he's got all tied up, he's gonna reward you richly for all the meals he's had.
You think he's gonna do that?
Probably not.
I'll tell you, I don't count my chickens before they're hatched.
Isn't he staying in that place your grandpa had up in the mountain right now?
Yeah, he sure is, by golly, I'll tell you. He's, kind of taking a liking to that place. He come right in there and looked around, and he plunked that $10 bill right on the table, by golly. He said he'd like to stay a couple of days, or maybe, or more. Well, after he stayed there a couple of days, he got looking around some more, and he said he thought he'd buy the place, He said he'd pay big money for it. He said he looked out at the view, and he said the view's worth a few $1,000s.
That place is in pretty bad shape, ain't it?
Oh yeah, but he's willing to pay the big bucks, pay the wages for them people, get it repaired and stuff. Hold on, Mother.
Oh, I'm not quite ready,
Well, I gotta get you home so we can get that hot supper cooked for the professor.
Let me tell you something about that.
Yeah?
I think on a hot night like tonight, cold beans and biscuits would suit me fine.
Well, ain't gonna suit him, I can tell you that. He likes his beans hot, and he likes them biscuits right out of the oven so the butter melt on them. Besides, them damned old cold biscuits you got kill our pig. Yeah.
Since when? You don't like my cooking?
Well, I get by. Yeah.
Clayton's favorite friends.
Go ahead, it's
Huh?
your turn.
I tend to do what, Mother? I'm tired of hearing.
You got to be talking about friends.
You claim
Well, no, he wasn't much that, but, he said we were pretty close friends to him, I don't think it would hurt us a bit to bend over backwards for him a little bit, Besides, he's gonna take us to the fair.
Oh, yes,
We got to see a horse pulling,
sure.
and we go behind the cattle shed, Ma, and we could just have a little of that hokey pokey we used to do, huh? And he said he'd take us clear down to the coast, we'd have one of them rich dinners down there, them millionaires have, all them lobsters and clams,
Well, let me tell you something. I think if he was eager to take us to the coast, he could have took us last Tuesday instead of taking Miss Posey Berkeley.
My land, I don't
think
know
you
why he
pulled my
couldn't
leg.
have took you folks right along too. The whole back seat must have
Back seat.
been empty, wasn't it?
Well, I suppose it was, but you know what? I think that old fool is sweet on Posey.
Nah, he ain't either. I told him all about her 3 husbands. 2 of them were pretty well off, but the third one had more money than those other 2 fools all put together. I'll tell you, she wasn't any more interested in those 3 husbands than you are about my old shoe.
Well, you know what, it's a funny thing, but it seems to me he showed more interest in her lately since you told him that.
Nah, think about it. He's just trying to reform her. You know, he was out west there somewhere, another country, California or something, and he was teaching college out there, and he had some young boy students there, and they're all hellions. By God, you know, he saved some of them became preachers, so he ain't all bad.
Well, that's swell, but I'll tell you,
But,
I'm fed up with him. He's always borrowing something and forgetting to
Lord,
return
here we
it.
go again.
And then, he forgets to bring stuff back. And furthermore, I think that if he wanted your suspenders, you would probably be fool enough to let him have them. You take them right off and let your trousers fall right down to your knees.
You probably would too, you know, they ain't hooked you good. Thank God you had that clothespin in your purse, Mother.
Good thing you had those, have them on.
Yeah, besides, you know that, I carry, well, I couldn't think of sitting down. You know, he needed a clock, you know. And I thought about it, and I said, well, Mother doesn't come in this parlor very often.
That's where my clock went. You let him borrow my clock?
Well, you don't go in there very often to
No,
look at
just a
it.
second. That
Yeah.
clock,
Yeah,
pay attention.
yeah, okay. I'm so poor I can't afford to pay attention.
That clock was given to my grandparents for a wedding present.
Yeah,
And you went and let him borrow that clock.
yeah.
Now, I know, just as you said, that I'm not in the parlor very much. But you know what? That doesn't matter. I don't care if I'm in the parlor or not. I want to know that my clock is there.
Well, you know that poor old man needed a clock. And all he's got is a watch. And it's a big nuisance for him to keep pulling it out all the time.
He told you that.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you. If I'd have been there when he said that, I'd have told him what a big nuisance he is.
Well, there, dagnabbit, we gotta go home.
Well, I guess...
Got no chores to do.
I
Them
guess
cows
we
ain't gonna milk themselves,
Guess
you
we shouldn't
know.
be getting along.
Yeah.
Now, just hold your shirt a second. Prudy, thank you very much for letting us stop on your piazza.
Thank you,
We've enjoyed it.
Miss.
And thank you, Jesse. You've
don't
done
have
a
to get
good
up,
job of
nothing
building it. And you know what else?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not making no hot biscuits tonight for nobody.
What a revolting dash of balderdash that is.
I'm not making them, that's all. I'm not making them.
Well, we'll talk about it.
No, no, I'm not making them.
Well, we'll talk about
Not
it.
making them.
Yeah, I think you will.
No, I'm-
Yeah. You always treat me good.
No.
It sure is comical the way them 2 argue, ain't it?
Yes, it is, but I don't blame Hattie for wanting that old professor underfoot.
Well, I agree with you, but, you know, Hattie's quite a hand in finding stuff to nag Huey about. But you know, Prudy, I find that you always have a very pleasant disposition.
Oh, Jesse, I'm so pleased to hear you say that.
Well, you know, Prudy, maybe the 2 of us should sit over there in this here love seat so as we don't have to keep yelling at each other.
Well, that sounds like a good idea. Oh, there's Simon Wyman coming toward the piazza.
Hi, folks. Yeah, hi, Simon.
Have a
Yeah.
seat.
Oh, well, thank you. You know, I can't sit long. I was down Mount Vernon Village and I was out traveling and I saw you 2 sitting here on this lovely piazza and I just stopped in to tell you the news. It's the strangest thing.
Yeah, well, so what happened?
Well, Olive come running down to town and spread the news. You see, she and Arinda had practiced their part up at the Union Hall 3 times for that play they're doing next week. And Sophie, she's the director, and she told them that they had done so good in practice that they could leave.
Yeah. So, what's the strange thing that happened?
Well, I'm getting to it. Such a rush. Anyway, you see, after Posey and the professor and everybody else got there and they were starting to practice, the professor, he went out and he sat down next to where Horace was sitting, down in the shade of the old privy. and he fell off dead asleep, and he started snoring like a sawmill. Well, this got on Horace's nerves, so he said, and so he said he was going up to his house to get a little drink, but you know Horace, he's always looking for that little drink. Anyway,
So what happened? Come
well,
on.
practice time come, and Posey called for everybody to come in. And the professor comes in, and Olive was up on the stage. She was coming down the steps, and Posey and everybody else was waiting to go up the steps because only one person can use them steps at a time because they're so narrow. And Posey, no, it was Olive. She looked across the room. Somebody looked and waved at her, and she went over to talk to this lady that had turned her head to her. And the professor, he goes over to Horace, and he says,
Who's that lady over there that Olive's talking to?
and Horace says, well, that's Sophie's sister Roxy, and she'll be here next week. She's come for a visit, and she's come to see the play. And he says, oh, isn't that nice? And so he runs over, he grabs Posey by the arm, and he said, when I was outside, I heard some disturbing news, and my assistance is needed, and so we must be going. And Posey says, you mean right now? And he says, yes, that's the truth, that's a fact. And then he turns to everybody else, and he says, well, I bid you all adieu, and I wish you all the best in your performance next week. Well, Sophie was shocked, and she says, do you mean to say that you're not going to be in our play next week? And he says, unfortunately, that is correct. And so he grabbed Posey and pulled her out the side door, and they went driving down the hill in a cloud of dust.
Whoa, that is strange, ain't it?
Who could have told him about that at that time?
Well, Horace said he hadn't heard anybody coming down the hill by his house, and nobody in the Union Hall heard anybody talking to the professor, so they figured either he was telling a lie or he had had a dream.
Oh, you know, my Aunt Matilda used to doze off and wake up and think her dream really happened. One time she woke up and she says, where is Hannah and Mirindy? And somebody says, well, they ain't been here all day. And she says, well, I know better. I heard them running their mouths in a sassy way, and I was getting ready to tell them what's what, and I figured that's why they scampered away. Yeah.
Well, I better be scampering away myself. I've got a couple other stops to make. And, well, I see Quincy out there. I haven't talked to him all summer. I'm going to stop and have a talk with him. Well, thank you, Mr. Prudy.
Okay, so long, Simon. Well, Prudy, I guess you and I might as well have a seat on the love seat, yeah?
Oh, that's Sophie and Roxy coming.
Prudy, your dooryard is busier than the Reedfield Depot. Oh, good Lord.
Well, we can't stay, but we just have some news that oh, but it's so upsetting. I just think I'm feeling a little dizzy. I think I just need to sit down.
Well, here, let me help you so as you don't topple over.
Okay, thank you.
Good. All right.
Oh, thank you. Oh. Which one?
Oh, no, somebody wrote on the back of this fan.
I'll be done. Well,
You know, we're so out of breath that we just can't talk. We had to sit at the Union Hall for a while before we could get enough strength to walk over here.
I know, it's just really terrible.
What happened?
Well, we don't have enough strength right now to talk about it, please. So we just need to rest just a little bit, okay?
Someone was telling us about it. He said the professor grabbed Posey and they left Union Hall in a rush. But it's a big mystery why he left. He said he'd received some disturbing news, but he didn't say what it was or how he received it.
The mystery has been solved.
Oh, yes, Simon would want to hear about the mystery being solved, so, hey, Simon! Simon, the mystery's solved! Hey, yeah, come on!
So you won't have to read it again.
Yeah.
So the mystery's been solved. Well, I just can't wait to hear all the details.
Well, you're just gonna have to wait a moment until we have all of our strength back.
I feel mine coming back already.
Well, you just take your time, because before, when I was telling, I forgot to say that when Posey and Professor left the Union Hall, you might not know this because you were so upset, but they went down to Mount Vernon Village to fill his gas tank with gas, you know, so they paid the guy at the pump, and he went into the store to get their change, and they drove right off without waiting even for their change.
Sure, they must have been in quite some hurry.
Well, it sure seems as though they were, but you know what? You know old lady Lawton,
Yeah.
right? She was sitting there in her horse cart, and well, anyway, there she sat, and she, you know, she won't go in that store. I don't know why, but she won't go in there, so she always sends Jethro in to get all her shopping done. Well, she's sitting there, and she couldn't help but just to look right down in the back of the professor's car, and behind all these suitcases, she saw what she thought looked like Hattie's special antique clock that she has in her parlor. Yeah. Wow. When they drove off, she was a quick thinker. She grabbed a pencil and paper out of her pocketbook and wrote down their license plate number.
Oh, well, isn't that good for her? Yeah.
Well, I think I've revived enough now. I'm calmed down that I can talk. Well, I want to tell you that Olive came back from play practice, and, you know, she got home, and just then her relatives, her out-of-state relatives, they arrived back from West Mount Vernon, where they had been to see Benton Batchelor to pick up some pictures that he had developed for him. You know, Benton's the one who was right into photography, and he just does, you know, he does a lot of those pictures, those lovely pictures that are on the postcards that we have, you know.
Well, I have a number of them in my postcard album.
Well, and then, you know, Horace's uncle had taken pictures of us at play practice, and when Olive saw them, she got so excited that she just ran back with them to show us, and then here old Roxy, you know, all of a sudden she lets out a scream and says, "That looks like that crook!" And then we flipped over another one, and she says, "It is that crook!"
It was the man that stole Florence Ann's money out of her bank account.
Listen,
I didn't think I'd ever see him again. Well, actually, I just saw him back too, going out the door.
Goodness gracious, Sakels alive.
Sakels?
yes, just stunning. Just
I guess, might not be a surprise, but I'm going back out to the barn.
I wonder why he keeps going back out to that barn then.
I think it's the sheep. Oh, I think it's the sheep.
Oh, golly.
Well, you know, I feel so bad because I'm the one who introduced Florence Ann to that man, and I feel really bad that this all's happened. It's just all my fault. I feel so guilty.
Oh, no. She feels bad because, you know, she took Florence Ann out to that restaurant and for her birthday lunch, and that's where she met up with him.
I feel so bad.
Oh, you shouldn't feel that bad, ma'am.
Simon, I'm sorry, but I think I forgot to introduce you formally to my sister, Roxy. But then again, maybe you remember her from a few years ago, many years ago.
I sure do. When I first remember you, Roxy, it was at a church supper. And, wow, you must not have been more than 15 to 16 years old. And, well, I come over with my plate of baked beans and brown bread, and I just sat right next to you. And, well, gosh, we were so young and bashful that we didn't say much to each other, you know.
Roxy, bad voice.
She was 50. Anyway, the next day at church, this lady comes up to me and she says, you know, that sweet girl that you took to the supper last night, she was mighty nice appearing, and well, I agree pretty strongly. Well, I don't suppose you remember me sitting next to you, Roxy Gory, that was like 50 years ago.
Actually, I sure do remember, because I thought you was a big hunk of burning love.
Well, you know, there's a church supper in Mount Vernon this very night. Perhaps you ladies would like to go with me.
What do you think, Sophie? Would you like to go?
No, I guess you can go by yourself, Roxy, with him. I guess my stomach is just so churned up from all this stuff that's happened this week. I think I'll go home and have a bowl of crackers and milk. And I gotta fix supper for Mike and those fellas that are helping him today with the haying.
Well, I certainly understand how you feel. You've had a hard day. But Roxy, I sure would like to take you to that supper if you'd like to go.
Ooh, yes, I'd sure love it.
All right, well then let's go.
All right. Hot damn, Roxy's got a date.
Maybe we'll skip the supper.
Behave yourself.
My car's parked right out here.
Have a good time.
So long, Simon.
Golly. My gosh, I think they're 16 years old again. Oh. Well, now I suppose I better go home. I've gotta rack my brains and try to think of somebody to fill that vacant fella's part in the play. And of course, he just has to memorize a few lines and, you know, just recite a poem. Just dramatically, you know.
What is the poem?
Well, it doesn't really matter what the poem is, it just has to have it memorized, you know.
Jesse has dozens of poems memorized.
Jesse does? Oh, yes, you do?
Well, yeah, something, yeah.
Back when my Aunt Amy was teaching, she was really impressed with him. We were getting ready to put on an entertainment, and she let him take home a book of Longfellow's poems, so to pick out something to recite. Well, he was busy at home helping with the planting, and he didn't get back to school again until the day of the entertainment. But he recited the whole of Paul Revere's Ride, word for word, and he was only 9 years old.
9? My land, I am impressed.
Well, her Aunt Amy was a pretty fine teacher. I think she felt sorry for me because I couldn't always make it to school as much as I would like to. So she bought me some books so I could study at home. And every once in a while on a rainy Saturday, she'd invite me over here and help me with my homework, you know, and she'd drill me on how to recite poetry. In fact, I still have a book that she gave me of poems.
Well, Jesse, do you suppose that you would be willing to recite a poem for me, or even just part of one for now, or whatever, you know?
I might be able to recite part of a poem that Aunt Amy, well, she shortened it for me from a high school recital. It's a baseball poem about a guy named Casey.
Oh, wonderful.
If he hits a home run, Mudville wins big.
Oh.
Yep, but if he makes it out, they lose everything. The pressure is on. As twice the pitcher hurls his leather-covered sphere, and twice Casey stands there just watching with a vain, defiant sneer. But twice the umpire makes his call as Mudville went askew. The verdict was not pleasant. Strike 1 and strike 2. Well, strike 2 changed Casey's haughty sneer to teeth
clenched in hate, as he pounded with cruel violence, brought his back upon the plate. And now the pitcher holds the ball. And now he lets it go. And now the air is shattered by the might of Hasty's blow. Somewhere in this favored land, the sun is shining bright. A band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light. Somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout, but there is no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey just struck out. Bah!
Oh.
Casey, Jesse, I'm just amazed at your ability. Why, you have much more expression and feeling in your recitation than that old Felix Fiddledub or whatever ever did.
You remember that. You remember that.
Yes. Oh, well, I feel so much better than when I came, I'll tell you. Just wonderful.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you feel wonderful.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Well, I'll tell you what. I still have Posey's part to fill. One of my. Well, it's not very long. It's only a few lines to memorize. Prudy, do you suppose that you would be interested in taking that part?
Oh, sure.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that is just, well, I'll tell you what, I will be back in the morning with your scripts, okay?
Oh, it's amazing how much better you're looking, Sophie.
Well, you know, I am just so exhilarated by how everything has turned out. I just feel like I could leap in the air and just fly away home. Jesse, could you get my broom? I can't. Thank you, sir. We'll see you in the morning. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad things turned out well. Now, I hope things turn out well for Quincy and Nell. I got a card from Jake today saying that he's eaten the last of my cookies, and so I probably ought to be thinking about heading home soon. But Jesse, don't let on to Quincy that Nell's planning to stop by today.
Well, I didn't even know Nell was planning to stop by.
Well, keep an eye on Quincy and don't let him go hide somewhere.
Well, he's right out there talking with Jethro and Lil, so, you know.
Hi.
Oh, and here he's coming in right now.
Jethro and Leela just filled with news. Turns out the professor and Posey went to a restaurant in Augusta and each got a cone of ice cream. But Posey's hands got sticky and she wanted to go in the ladies' room, and the professor said, oh, I'll hold your purse while you go in the ladies' room. And she says, no, I need it because I want to comb my hair. And he said, well, your hair looks lovely, my dear. Don't put your purse down in that filthy restroom. So she let him hold the purse, and when she came out, he was gone with the purse with her. And now she's stranded.
My land, ain't that awful?
Yeah, well, Howard and Mandy are trying to, well, the operator's trying to get a hold of Howard and Mandy, but having no such luck. So now, Posey's looking for someone to pick her up.
Well, she shouldn't be waiting for Howard to pick her up. He's told me just as soon drive to New York City as drive to Augusta. One time, he drove to Augusta with a friend and they got lost driving around and they didn't get back to Vienna until nigh on after breakfast the next morning.
Hey, Tim and Dinah are just pulling in and letting off some pretty young lady who's coming this way.
Come right here.
Well, hello, dear. It's so nice to see you.
Hi, Jessie. Hi, Prudy.
This is my nephew, Quincy, I want you to meet.
Well, hi, Quincy. How do you do?
Well, I'm pleased to meet me, and And what's your name?
Well, I'm Nell Norton.
You're Nell Norton? And Elida, is this the lady that you wanted me to meet?
Yes, she is. I've told you over and over again I've wanted you to meet Nell. I don't know why you're acting so surprised.
Are you one of the women that came in that green car that day, Nell?
Yes, I am. My Uncle Merle's wife, Aunt Meldora, drove us up from Reedfield.
Well, if I had known you're so pretty, maybe I wouldn't run off.
Well, I don't see any reason why you didn't come get a look at her. You're a man your age, shouldn't act as bashful as a little kid.
Well, you know, I did get a look at her. I thought I did. I come in through the back door and looked through the curtain in the sitting room, and I heard you say to a lady in a green dress, well, what's your opinion, Nell?
Oh, I know better.
Well, Aunt Meldora had on a green dress, and her nickname's Mel.
That's right. So you didn't hear me right, Quincy. You should have known I wasn't fool enough to pick up someone nearly 20 years older than you.
Quincy, I think it's quite comical that you thought Aunt Meldora was me. I consider her rather plain looking, but she's full of fun and a marvelous cook. Uncle Merle told us over the years how lucky he is to have landed her.
Yes?
Well, not long after Jake and I were married, we were visiting his Aunt Betsy, your Grammy now, and she was saying that she wished her boys could find girls as nice as me. She said all three of them were too bashful to find a mate. So I found mates for the two oldest ones, but when I took Meldora over to meet Merle, he didn't pay any attention to her. Some girl visiting a camp on Flying Pond was throwing herself at her.
Prudy, do you have something to say?
She was a bird magnet thing. And the fellows were hanging around her like flies around molasses.
Well, he thought they were engaged, but she married someone else. He couldn't eat, he couldn't sleep, and he said he was all through with women unless he could find someone the other fellows didn't want. So I took Meldora over with some of her delicious cookies, and I've never seen such a change come over anyone. It wasn't long before they were married.
Well, Elida, you did a good deed, and I'm so grateful she's a part of our family.
Well, I get a lot of satisfaction out of matchmaking.
Well, I guess you're pretty damn good at it too, and you know, I was kind of wondering, Nell, if maybe later on we could go riding.
Quincy, all right, I'd be delighted. But before we go,
Great.
I need to let everybody know the latest details about Posey.
Okay.
Yeah, we sure do want to hear about her.
Well, Posey was pretty anxious for someone to come pick her up. Then lo and behold, she saw a gentleman in town that she'd seen before, who has relatives in Belgrade. Well, his name's Wellington Bellington. Do you guys know him? He has a beautiful cottage on Long Pond over in Belgrade.
Well, that's nice.
Well, he offered to give Posey a ride clear back to Vienna. So she called home to let us know her plans have changed. He lives a little beyond Worcester, so he's going to take her right on home with him.
Oh, my word.
Yep. Well,
Now,
there, Quincy, we need to wait there. So anywho, he told Posey that he's a lonely old widower, and he wants her to move in.
Well, let's get going, huh, now?
I would like to, but I just thought of another thing to tell you.
Okay.
The man who ran off with Posey's pocketbook was driving a stolen car that belongs to a widow in New Hampshire. She had met him at church and provided him with a room to stay the night. Well, the next morning, he was gone, and so wasn't her car.
Oh, my word.
Well, let's go now.
Well, I probably have something more to say, so. I tried phoning in to tell you guys that I was on my way up, but the receivers are down at central office. Poor operators pretty near worn to a frazzle.
Well, I remember back in that big fire that Mount Vernon Village had in August of 1922, well, the poor operator broke right down. She couldn't handle it. So Joe Allen's daughter, Mabel, took over, and she did a real good job.
Yeah. Were you
Well,
there?
I was not there for that, but we drove up to see the ruins later.
Well, it was a very exciting time. There were over 1,000 people in the street, and John Allen, who runs that Dow mill over there in Vienna, you know, he was helping take some things out of Cram's shop when he gets a feeling in his stomach that something's wrong. Yeah, I think you get the feeling in your stomach right now, in the other direction. At any rate, people were not sure if Will Locke, the shoemaker, was at home or he was out traveling, because sometimes he goes as far as Dallas Plantation, stayed with Marshall and Benny Flagg before they moved to Fayette, remember? Okay. So at any rate, they tried, the door was locked, so John, a couple of fellas from Farmington, they kicked the door down, they found old Will upstairs sound asleep. Well, they had quite a time dragging him out of there, minus some of his clothing. In fact, it was quite a tussle keeping him from going back in.
Yeah, probably to go get his tools.
Yeah, that's it. Tools, yeah.
I wasn't here when that fire took place, but I read about it in that story that Tom Hopkins wrote for the paper. Now, back in 1850, I believe, when he was just a little kid hanging onto his mother's hand, he witnessed a more destructive fire right there in the village.
Something like that makes a big impression on a kid. Now, during this more recent fire, Lucy Turner took her kids, Carolyn and James, down to the church to look down the hill. Well, James had just turned 3 on June 3rd, but he still speaks about it. He says the thing that sticks out in his mind was that the hitching posts were all afire and they looked like candles.
And you know what? He'll probably always remember that.
You ready now, Nell? Nell?
Oh, you silly goose, I've been ready. Oh, Uncle Merle and Aunt Meldorf come up for that supper, and they're hoping you all would be there.
Oh, I'd love to see them.
I think people are eager to go to that supper and hear the details about Posey.
Well, why don't you
What
go,
details?
Elijah?
Well, I'd like to.
Well, it's so late now, we might as well go to supper. Why don't you come with us, Aunt Delida? What's that, Nell?
That's all right, I suppose. We can go for a ride after supper.
Well, that would fine to suit me.
Goodbye, Prudy. Goodbye, Jessie.
So long. By gory, Prudy, it sure feels good to finally be here alone, the two of us at last. How about let's sit down here on this love seat?
All right. Here's Posey sitting here. I could be like Posey and say, having such a handsome man sitting here beside me makes it even more desirable.
Well, it's nice hearing you say that. You know, I've felt strong feelings for you for quite a while now, but I haven't been able to muster up the courage to tell you.
Well, I guess I didn't realize how much I cared about you till that old harridan was trying to throw herself at you.
Well, I'm just tickled pink at how things are working out for us, yeah?
Yes, it's very pleasant sitting here, but if folks see us sitting here, they're a lot more likely to drive in. We could go into the power.
Well, by gory, let's do it. Now that I've started my courting, I want to continue without too many interruptions.